Welcome into Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champ Amani, Toomer, and Amani. Giants got the win.
Giants got a win. They get off the schneid. This is a great victory for the Giants on the road, getting hit in the face early on, down 7 points, and being able to weather the storm and really come through.
Well, you mentioned getting hit in the face early on. Not just early on, the very first offensive play of the game for the Browns. Deshaun Watson hits Amari Cooper in the end zone for a 24-yard touchdown after Eric Gray had fumbled that kickoff. And, you know, Giants fans probably thinking, oh no, what's going on? But the Giants were able to stabilize, and not just stabilize, but bounce back from that in a way that they took a 21-7 lead into the half.
Yeah, Daniel Jones was really impressive today. The control that he has over this offense, you see him making very good decisions, not putting the ball in harm's way. And if it wasn't for a couple drops early on, he would have had, I think he had his best first half with 18 receptions or 18 completions.
17 completions.
17
a career
completions.
high in the first half.
Yeah, so he's doing, you know, that just goes to show. Could this be Daniel Jones coming over the, you know, he was injury prone early this season. Now he's starting to really cook. Last week to this week, he's building on some success.
He's also building on that success with the help of his rookie wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, who came up with 2 touchdowns in the first half. Neighbors becoming the youngest receiver in NFL history to have 2 touchdowns in a game. He did that in the first half. He and Daniel Jones were really developing that chemistry, Amani. But then you look at towards the latter part of the game, the Browns took notice and they said, okay, we're going to start putting our number 1 corner on you. I think Malik will be seeing more of that as the season progresses.
Yeah, he's no longer a secret now. I think that, you know, if you leave him matched up one-on-one without your best corner, you are putting yourself in a bad situation because they're going to throw him the ball a lot. He had 12 targets today. He had 18 targets last week. This is a guy that's an integral part of this offense for so young and being able to produce at this high level. It seems this is something special emerging from this rookie.
Absolutely, and the offense was putting up points. Offense, you know, eclipsing 20 points for the first time this season. But the defense, a huge factor in this win. 7 sacks on the day. Let's head down to the field. Our Paul Dottino's with Dexter Lawrence.
Dexter, I think it's only fitting the Giants defense, which has long been the tradition, was really what did it today. You had a huge 4th down stop in the final couple of minutes.
No doubt, man. We just kept riding the wave. And, you know, once you get hot, just stay hot. You know, don't lose the focus. And, I mean, that's what we did out here. We came out and won, and, you know, we just got to keep stacking them now.
Yeah, it's always important to say one game at a time, but to stop the slide at 0-2 had to be huge.
Yeah, for sure. It's the mentality, and it's the leaders. You know, we know who we are. We know who we have in the locker room. We just got to keep battling every day and believing in each other.
Congrats, Dex. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
That interview with Dexter Lawrence is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official truck of the New York Giants. As we take a look at Sexy Dexy's numbers today against the Browns. 2 tackles, 3 combined, 2 sacks. As I mentioned, the Giants as a whole defensively, 7 sacks on the day. The first time the Giants have had a 7-sack performance since 2016. Also against the Cleveland Browns.
Wow, we have the Cleveland Browns number, the Giants, but to have Dexter Lawrence to have 2 sacks from the inside, this is a position where he's not an outside rusher. He's a guy on the inside doing it the hard way, going through double teams. This is something special. I mean, Dexter, he is having a unbelievable season already. I think he has, what, 4 or 5 sacks this year? I think he's doing really well, especially from the inside. If you're an inside guy and you get 10 sacks on the season, that is special, and he's well on his way to that.
Well, and the fact that on the inside they're getting pressure. I know we've talked about Shane Bowen's defense, heavily reliant on the front 4, but we've seen a lot of pressure coming from these defensive backs. I mean, Jason Pinnock, he's already got 3 sacks on the season. That's a career high for him, and it's week 3. So for Jason Pinnock and for these DBs and linebackers to also be getting pressure on the quarterback, what does that say about what this Giants defense is able to do?
You really have to study the tape. You can't just think you can handle the front 4 and all of a sudden you're going to be all right. You got the rushers coming off the edge, but also you have the secondary coming off as the blitzes and things like that, and all that stuff together is just makes it very difficult for an offense coordinator to know where the blitz is coming from and then adjusting the protections to allow the quarterback to have success. But Deshaun Watson all day had somebody at his legs. He was getting hit. He was getting hurried. He was getting strip sacked. This was one of the best pass rushing efforts that I've seen the Giants have in years. They really got after these guys, and they became a really big part of this win, this defensive front. Really traditional Giants football, like you said.
Absolutely. The pass rush was on point today. Brian Burns got himself some play.
Absolutely.
And kind of a breakout game for Brian Burns as a Giant. He's on the field with our Paul Dottino. Let's send it down.
Brian, you had a big strip sack there late in the first half that allowed you guys to score a touchdown on offense and go up 21-3. Or 21-7. What was it about that play? Because you came in there, you seemed like you were shot out of a cannon.
Man, I was just focused on beating the man in front of me. And after I did that, I was focused on the ball.
It seemed to me this defense was very inspired today, especially in the first half. You held them to well under 100 yards.
Yeah, no, we've been focusing on just, focusing on ourselves one play at a time and just really dominating that play. So,
Brian, thank you.
Yep.
Great stuff from Paul Dottino right there. Brian Burns working hard out there. He mentioned that strip sack late in the first half. Giants are up 14-7. The Browns have the ball, about 2 minutes left to play. Burns gets the strip sack in good territory for the Giants, and they're able to punch it in again and make it a 2-possession game going into the half. How important was that momentum for a Giants team that's trying to, like you said, get off the schneid and get out of that 0-2 hole?
Yeah, when you're 0-2 and you're on the road and things aren't going as well, like the first play of the game happens, then the Giants start really digging in. And Brian Burns is a guy coming over from Carolina in the trade this offseason. It takes a while sometimes when you're coming from one system to another. The defense coordinator, defensive language, the players that you're playing against, and now all of a sudden you're starting to see him really elevate his pressure. It's just, I think the dauber is really up on this team. I think this team is really going in the right direction, and you're starting to see the overall culture of the team taking over.
Absolutely, trending in the right direction,
Yeah.
Getting one in the win column with a 21-15 win over the Browns in Cleveland in Week 3. We've got more to come, but Giants fans, it's Moody's. Decode risk, unlock opportunity. You can learn more at moodys.com. We've got much more to come on the program. After the break, we're going to hear from head coach Brian Daboll as he addresses the win, speaking to the media at the podium. That and more to come. But first, Giants fans, October 13th, the Giants will host the Cincinnati Bengals for Sunday Night Football. 100th season celebrations will continue with a halftime ceremony celebrating the 07 and 11 Super Bowl teams, and the first 25,000 fans through the gates will receive a Tom Coughlin bobblehead. Limited tickets are available, including suites. Scan the QR code on your screen to check out ticket options. Today's scoring drive of the game is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made for Giants fans. And for every scoring drive this season, Citizens will donate $750 to the Giants Foundation to support their work tackling important community issues, improving overall health, and empowering our youth. For the drive of the game, we go to the second quarter. 14 plays, 93 yards, 6 minutes and 51 seconds off the clock, ending with a 3-yard touchdown reception from the rookie Malik Neighbors. It would be his first of 2 tuds on the day as the Giants go on to win it 21-15 in Cleveland. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Let's send it out to Cleveland for more on the game as our Paul Dottino is standing by with Howard Cross. Guys.
Very much, Madelyn, and the Giants hold on here with 2 fourth-down stops in the final couple of minutes, Howard. Dexter Lawrence on the 4th and inches, perhaps, and then obviously the pass defense. I thought Tay Banks was incredible there down the stretch.
Yeah, Tay Banks did a good job, man. He had to fight a hard player in Mari Cooper, a perennial Pro Bowler. He found a way to make some plays, big plays down the stretch. I thought the whole defensive line did a good job all across the board. We always talk about Dexter Lawrence, but Noches showed up. You had everybody from Burns, Thibodeau, everybody was making a play on the defensive line. It was awesome.
Complementary football. We hear it all the time, and the Giants really were able to do that, doing what they need to do to be efficient on offense, scoring 3 for 3 getting into the red zone.
They would have went 4 for 4, but Singletary did the smart thing and stopped and took a knee so that they could run the clock out. That was really nice.
I looked at the first half numbers and I was really flabbergasted. Cleveland only had 41 total yards going into the break at halftime. The defense really did set the tone today.
You know what? They got the message. You know, Watson was under pressure the whole day. They were hitting him. They were knocking him down. He was like, he's starting to talk to his offensive line on the field and asking them for help. But they were kind of going through some of the same things the Giants were going through. Every other play, somebody was going out. You go out, you keep bringing guys. The center shifted out, the guard shifts over. They got ugly for him in their offensive line.
Let's talk about that Giants pass rush because, again, for the second week in a row, it showed up. What did you see that Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, was doing differently?
It wasn't a whole lot. I think Ojulari got a lot of pressure early. I think he sent one blitz with Belton maybe earlier outside of that. The guys just started picking it up. I mean, the outside guys were getting their moves on. And remember now, I'm not knocking our guys off, but Cleveland had a bunch of guys hurt on the offensive line, and our guys took advantage of it.
Well, that's what you have to do. You know what your opponent has, and you have to come up with a game plan that's going to strategically beat them. And
kick them when they're down.
No question. And I did think the Giants' running game was important.
Yeah, the running game was important. They did a good job of the running game. We did have another fumble today, but they did a really good job of the running game. The offensive line did a great job, opening some holes. Daniel had a really nice run. They called it back. There was a couple of plays they called back that were a little suspect, but a lot of good runs out there with the offense.
Yeah, and you mentioned Singletary. I thought he might fall into the end zone like Bradshaw did a few years ago in the Super Bowl. All right, that'll do it here from the field. Back to the studio.
Thanks so much. Great stuff from Paul Dottino and Howard Cross out in Cleveland. After the break, we'll hear from head coach Brian Daboll as the Giants get their first win of the 100th season. But first, Giants fans, the official 100th season book titled New York Football Giants, The People, The Moments, The Traditions, is now available exclusively at the Giants online shop. Now, this book explores the top 100 players of all time, unforgettable games, and stories that have defined the franchise for the last century. Visit the Giants online shop to get yours today. Stay with us. We've got more to come here on Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Giants fans, join the Giants Text Alert community for breaking news, sweepstakes, ticket offers, and important game day information. Just scan the QR code on your screen or text GIANTS to 201-636-1569 to get started. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. I'm Madelyn Burke alongside the Super Bowl champion Amani. Toomer. The Giants went out to Cleveland and got the win 21-15 over the Browns in Week 3. Let's send it out to Cleveland, where head coach Brian Daboll is addressing the media.
What's up, guys? How's it going? How we doing? Good. Good. What's up, guys?
What do you think the key was to this win?
It's a normal NFL game. It was competitive. Showed a lot of resiliency on the road, particularly how the game started. This is the 3rd year anniversary of my grandmother's death, which today, the 22nd, she raised me, and I was kind of giving her the business after those first 2 plays, like, what the hell you got in store for me? But the guys competed. I was proud of the way they competed. It's a good football team. Defensively, they're a good football team. Thought we got into a rhythm, made some plays early in the game, stalled out a few in the second half, but at the end of the day, made a play there at the end to seal it, and Motor did a great job. But there's a lot of ebbs and flows of the game, some fumbles, fumble again coming out in the second half, fumble, we got to take care of, but a lot of resiliency from the guys in uniform in the room. So I was proud of those guys.
Can you speak to Malik Neighbors and what he was accomplishing in the first half?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest play that I think Malik made was, we had a little throwback to Theo, which we had, I think. We had a big play possibility backed up, and Daniel's arm got hit. So it's up in the air. And for him to make that play in that situation, risk-reward call, thinking we're getting man-to-man, and, he scoots out the back there. I thought this might go, and there's pressure. And for him, the awareness to knock the ball down, that play, to me, says more about Malik than, some of the other things, which, everybody can see the touchdowns and stuff. But the unselfless play, the smart play that he made was a huge play in the game. Huge.
How do you make sure that after those 11 seconds that this team does not sink its head, especially after what's gone on the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, that's what we talk about since we've, OTAs. You talk about resiliency and commitment to one another and teamwork and discipline and attitude. And There's going to be ebbs and flows to every game. There's ebbs and flows to every season. And that's something that we preach internally. And, our guys have internal confidence, but it's good, to get the result. The process has been right. I believe in our process. I've said that before. So their commitment to one another, their next play mentality, things we preach, for a long time. They haven't come to fruition, because the results, everybody wants to see the results, and I understand this is a results business. But we believe in what we do and how we do things, and it showed, I think, in terms of their, you're on the road, it's cranking there, it's a touchdown right after the fumble, and just to stay locked in and committed to the next play mentality. Doesn't always turn out your way, but, today it did, and I give our guys a lot of credit.
What'd you see from Daniel?
Another good week, yeah. I mean, he's had 2 good weeks in a row. I don't know what, another 400-plus quarterback rating, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Handled the noise well. Did a good job of not turning the football over, executing. I think we're 100%, or we took a knee at the end. So again, red zone. But he was locked in, and he's been that way. So we're gonna need it from him this week. Got a short week and a lot of work to do.
Brian, what was your vantage point on that pass to Malik on the sideline right before the touchdown, where he looked like he was boxed out and he kind of reached over the defender in front of him?
He was on the far sideline.
Yeah.
It was one hell of a catch. Yeah, I'm go back and watch it on tape, but I saw it. I said, "Oh," and then he came down with it. Again, you have a guy like that. Doesn't really matter about the matchup. Throw the ball up to him and trust that he's going to get it.
You said because it looked like when I think everyone watched it, it looks like that easily could be an interception.
Yeah.
So is that what, when you have a guy like that and you talk about 50-50 balls, it's just
that's it takes a lot of trust between a quarterback and a receiver to be able to do that. Particularly with the leverage of the defender, how is he playing? And you always talk to the receiver, it's your ball or it's nobody's ball, and that's how you develop the trust. My 7-year-old made a play like that the other day, so we're working on that. But again, he's a good football player. You've all seen it. Still a lot to work on, but I've said this numerous times. Glad we have him.
Dave, how important was it to see that? You can talk a lot about process. How important was it for the guys to see that? The benefit is it could lead to results.
Yeah, that's the key, right? So you'd like to have good process, which leads to good results. That's the ideal box. Sometimes you can have a good process that leads to bad results, and that's still a box you want to be in, although the result's not good. And then you can have bad process and bad results, which is what we don't want to do. So the commitment to one another, how we do things, or bad process, good results, which is a slippery slope too. Again, the way our guys work, their commitment, their practice habits, their study habits, it's not always going to lead to a win. You love it to. But I know every week they go in and they give everything they got. They work hard in the classroom. They work hard on the practice field. The coaches are together. There's chemistry. They work their tails off. And unfortunately, sometimes you don't get the results you want. So it's good to get the results for this. It's one game. There's a lot to clean up on. And we got a short week to do it against a great team.
Your decision to go for it early on 4th down, can you talk about that, Daves?
Yeah, I like the play we had. So a little jet sweep to Malik, put it in his hands, and carried some momentum. Confidence in the players, doing it on practice. So when you get to a point where you feel that, those decisions aren't really that difficult to make.
The pass rush was particularly effective today. Is that kind of what you and Joe imagined when you put this together?
Yeah, it was great. I don't know, what did they have, 8 sacks or something like that, but there was pressure too. And again, I think, when you look at it, how is the game being played? So their team's down 21-7. You get to a certain point, there's more passes, there's things like that. So that helps too. So it's not just a pass rush, it's how you play the game complementary style. Like we can get up 21-3 or, there's a whole different game. Conversely, when you get down, it's hard. So there's going to be more pressure on the quarterback. That's the hardest thing to do is protect the quarterback when they know you got to throw it. So I thought complementary, was probably, so far our better games, complementary football.
It was a real shift in approach, though, to blitz, the way you blitzed in this game. I think you brought, I think it was like 57% of the dropbacks. You brought more than 4 rushers.
I didn't have my calculator out there, Jordan.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
So what went into that?
Again, game plan. So, each week we go into the, staff Monday and Tuesday, and we think this is what needs to be done. Played a little bit more man than we probably have in the past, the first couple games. It could change each week. That's what I like about Shane and the defensive staff and the offensive staff, and Gobi, to be honest with you. You know, they work, they exhaust all their resources. They spend a lot of time together. They work late. They're committed to one another. And then they come up with the plan that, you know, we think is best for our football team. And sometimes you have to adjust to that. It's not working the best. Sometimes it's working good, and that's, you know, that's why you spend all those hours there to work. But again, it's one game, but certainly beats the alternative of the result that we've had the first 2 weeks. But you know, got a lot of work to do. But I'm proud of the players and the coaches.
Did the players indicate to you or to the defensive coordinator that they wanted to be more aggressive?
No. Look, Shane does a great job. Gobi, Calf, like we all work together. We come up with a plan, and the players have been great. So do you take players' input on certain things? Sure. You know, there's days I'm asking. Today I'm asking Wandell what you like, what you hear, what we're talking. But that's what makes, you know, of the teams that I've been part of, when you can have that type of communication, Kim. You know, that's being a team.
As a play caller, in the first half, did you feel like you had the right plan to attack Schwartz's defense, and did you feel like...
I mean, I felt I had the right plan the whole game, but we didn't score in the second half. So that's how you have to feel as a play caller. I mean, that's why you spend all that time putting it in. And then, look, they did a good job of spinning it. You know, they got to much more of a man-type stuff. They were spinning it early on and doing things, and we were screening. We were doing a lot of different things, too. And then, you know, it comes down to ultimately the execution of it. But, you know, we were in a little bit of a rhythm. The quarterback was seeing things good. You know, we were changing up styles of play. You know, the running game, we were throwing enough in there, but he's a really good defensive coordinator. They did a good job in the second half. I thought we missed some opportunities. And ultimately, when you don't score, you always look at yourself and say, what could I have done a little bit different? So turnovers, huge on both sides. But, you know, I thought collectively we did enough. Still, there's stuff to clean up. You know, there's a call here or there, like, you know, you hit that play to Theo. That's a huge one. It's split seconds away. But you got to be willing to do that, particularly when you get up. I don't think you can close up. You got to be able to throw the ball downfield, Jordan, and you know, mix things up when they're playing a certain style.
There were three possessions there from the defense where they were put back on the field with the Browns having a chance to go down the field. Their tires score, and they stood on their head all three times. What does that say about staff, the players out there?
Yeah, I would just say, again, you can talk about resiliency until you're blue in the face. And when you're in the midst of it, you know, as a leader, you have to stand up and you have to own it, and you have to keep things as positive as you can and look on to the next game, the next play. And, you know, those guys, you know, they buy in. We have a good group of young men. Again, you got to put everything you got into. You can see how close the game was today. And we got off to a fast start and was still, you know, nip and tuck all the way to the end. That's the way usually these games are. But it's one game. Again, I'm happy for the players. I'm happy for the coaches, the amount of effort and time they spend in it. But certainly a lot of things that we can clean up. All good? Thanks, guys.
That's head coach Brian Dable after the 21-15 win in Cleveland, a sentimental win for the head coach on the third anniversary of his grandmother's passing. We'll break down what the head coach had to say a bit more after the break. But first, want to remind you guys that guests of our post-game show receive a gift certificate to Ben & Jack's, located on 44th Street in Manhattan. From the celebrated porterhouse to finer seafood, Ben & Jack's will surpass your expectations of what a steakhouse should be. After the break, we're going to hear from Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors. 2 touchdowns on the day, the youngest player in NFL history with 2 touchdowns. That and more on Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health.
A big one. It's good to, you know, get this win and carry over to next week.
Can you take us through the first catch? You know what I mean? There were 2 awesome catches.
Which one on the sideline?
Right, where you snatched it. It would look like it was going to be an interception. Just walk us through the whole play, please.
I mean, we got called a play, and I was kind of confused on what to line up. And then after that, it was just like, I just turned it into a go. I was just like, DJ, give me a shot on it. So it was like he gave me a shot. I just made a great play on the ball.
you fear it might be picked as it's coming toward you? What do you
I mean, yeah, when I seen him turn around, I kind of, and how the arc of the ball was dropping down, I was feeling like it was going to be a pick. So I just try to put my hands in front of his hands and try to snatch it away, and that's what I did.
Malik, you get the 2 touchdowns. It's 21-7 at halftime, and it looked like complimentary football there. The defense made a play. Burns gets a strip sack. You guys take advantage. That's how it's got to work, right?
Right. I mean, but we still got to come out in the second half and do clean up a lot of mistakes that we made. Have a way clean the second half.
Could you describe the difference in emotion? Obviously, now the elation. Last week we knew you with so much pride. We're very frustrated.
Right. I mean, I had great teammates around my back, pushing me for greatness. This last week, they kept pushing me. So I'm just thankful to those guys that they kept pushing me to try to be great. And hopefully, I bounced back and had a great game for these guys. It was just a thanks for my teammates, really.
How much does Daniel Jones help out, being your quarterback?
I mean, stepping up in the pocket and making great throws. I mean, y'all seen it, all today. Took a lot of great hits, delivered the ball well under pressure. So having him as a quarterback has been really good for me as a receiver.
That sound from wide receiver Malik Neighbors is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official truck of the New York Giants as we take a look at Malik's numbers against the Browns. 8 receptions for 78 yards, 28-yard long, and 2 touchdowns, becoming the youngest player in NFL history to record 2 touchdowns in a game. Not to mention, he also had 2 rushing attempts for 4 yards and even a passing attempt in this game. That one didn't quite go as planned, Amani. But you know what? As we heard head coach Brian Daboll saying before the break, having confidence in the players is key, and it really does open up the playbook and get these guys going.
It really does, and the fact that now we'll be able to evaluate Daniel Jones a lot better because he has that receiver that you can throw a 50-50 ball up to, and he doesn't have to worry about threading the needle and getting the ball right there. You get it in the vicinity, and he knows that it's going to be either a catch by Malik Neighbors or a knockdown. Those are the things that allow quarterbacks to take their game to another level because they're able to throw the ball into smaller windows because they feel like they feel protected. And so this is going to be a great situation. I feel like one of the things that needs to happen is this receiving core has to be more diverse. I mean, Darius Slayton is going to have to come play and be more a part of the game. So is Jalen Hyatt. So and Wan'Dale Robinson. I think a lot of these guys are going to have to start holding up their end of the bargain because if everybody can just key on Malik Neighbors, it's going to really hamper his season moving forward because that's going to be the focal point of defenses as they attack this New York Giant offense.
Absolutely, and as we get the offense kind of going and it develops throughout the season, we'll see a lot more from it. Let's send it back down to the locker room. Paul Dottino, hardest working man in Cleveland. Let's send it down to Paul.
How much confidence does that give you guys knowing that you're going to get some opportunities on an island like that?
I mean, we all get it pretty excited. I think it's kind of why they drafted all of us, is to know that we can all be man coverage and really kind of get open against anybody. So,
in general, Wan'Dale, do you see when Neighbors makes those kinds of plays that the defenses are going to start playing you guys a little differently?
I mean, I don't know. That's for you to ask the defenses. So hopefully teams stay true to what they do, and we can just do what we do as well. So.
That sound from wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, brought to you by your local Ford stores. Paul over here talking about, what we talked about earlier in the show, the fact that Malik Neighbors is elevating his game and getting a little bit stronger coverage, maybe the first cornerbacks. It also changes the look for some of the other wide receivers on this roster.
Yeah, they need to start getting more active and be more involved, making plays consistently. I feel like there is a heavy reliance on Malik Neighbors, which it should be because he's a phenomenal player. But I know that as the season goes on, there has to be more people, not only just the receivers in the receiving room, but the tight ends have to start holding up their end of the bargain, just to even out this offense, to make it a more diverse group to approach moving the ball and scoring points.
Absolutely, and as we heard from Wan'Dale Robinson, he had 7 receptions on 8 targets on the day for 61 yards, including a 20-yard long. Daniel Jones moving the ball around today. After the break, we will hear from Daniel Jones. The quarterback heads to the podium to talk to the media after the 21-15 win in Cleveland. Giants improving to 1-2 on the season. Giants Postgame Live continues after this. Today's player of the game is presented by HCL Tech, supercharging progress, the official digital transformation partner of the New York Football Giants. For the player of the game, who else But Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, 70.6% completion percentage. He had 24 of 34 with 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, QBR of 109.4. As Daniel Jones named player of the game in the Week 3 win over Cleveland. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. The Giants come away with the win, and Daniel Jones is at the podium. Let's send it back to Cleveland.
How do you feel the game plan prepared you guys to go up against this kind of aggressive defense?
Yeah, I thought we had a good game plan going in. It's a good defense, aggressive, fast. Pass rush, certainly something we had a plan for, and you need to prepare for. So a lot of respect to this defense. I thought we had a good plan, and for the most part, I thought we executed it well.
How much of that part of that plan was to use that aggression against the defense?
Yeah, I think there were certainly pieces of the game plan where you're trying to misdirection or fakes or moving the pocket. I mean, certain different things that try to play on that aggressive style. But like I said, they're a good defense, so a lot of credit to them.
This is the first time many of us have seen Malik. Can you just talk about the start that he's off to, a couple of the grabs that he made for you today, especially the one down the sideline where he went up over?
Yeah, I mean, he's played really well to start. Hasn't surprised us, watching him in training camp and all the plays he's made. But he's made a lot of big plays for us, and I've got a lot of trust in him going up and getting the ball, and we need to continue to take advantage of his ability to make plays.
How big do your eyes get, or how much confidence do you have in your guys when you see you're going to get a steady diet of man across the board?
Yeah, I think in situations where we get a lot of man, I think we really like our matchups across the board. I think we've got talked about Malik, but all the guys we put out there, I think we're confident in those matchups and our guys. So I think. They've got some good cover guys over there and a good defense, but man coverage, we like our matchups.
I felt like Dave's kind of went deep in the playbook in the first half, had them a little bit off balance. Is that the way you saw it? I mean, you ran the jet sweep with Neighbors, did a couple other things, screen passes kind of seemed to have them out of rhythm.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I thought the game plan, was really good and taking advantage of some of the things that they did and mixing it up. I think, changing the pace, keeping them off balance with a lot of those calls. I thought, Dave did a really good job with that, and some mixed direction stuff, some screens, some downhill runs, some drop back. I mean, all that kind of stuff. I think keeps them on their heels.
How jarring is it when it's 11 seconds into the game and you're down 7-0?
Obviously not the way we wanted to start, but huge credit to our defense, the way they played. Obviously, fumble on the kick return, and then they score on the first play, and then after that the defense buckled down and played an unbelievable game, and hats off to them. They were big time.
How nice is it for you to support?
Hey, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the Giants finished with a 21-15 win over Cleveland. As that sound from Daniel Jones, brought to you by your local Ford stores. Taking a look at the quarterback comparison on the day between Daniel Jones and Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. Of course, DJ, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 236 yards passing, with 70.6% completion percentage on the day. Hey, Giants fans, check out the Eli Manning Show presented by Panini Prism Trading Cards. All you have to do is subscribe to the Giants YouTube channel to catch all of the latest shows. It's the Eli Manning Show. Subscribe today. We've got more to come here on Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
You guys talk about not going into the end zone if you got a big play there at the end? Did you talk about it?
Yeah, we talked about it. Get the first down and get out. That's what we talked about. Yeah.
And we remember when Bradshaw in the Super Bowl fell into the end zone. I'm sure you know about that one.
Yeah, definitely know about that one. I was just glad we was able to execute the plan, though. Yeah.
How good does it feel to get the monkey off your back and get a win in Week 3?
Yeah, it feels good to go 1-0 today. Got something to build off of. Everything didn't go our way today. A lot of learning points throughout the game, but we was able to go 1-0. That's the most important thing.
It looks like the last 2 weeks this offense is starting to get more in sync, though. Is that something, the figment of my imagination, or are you feeling it as well?
Yeah, we definitely starting to get rolling. That's going to be a big part because our defense, they've been balling since day one. So we knew we was going to have to pick it up on offense to help them guys out.
That sound from Giants running back Devin Singletary, brought to you by your local Ford stores. We take a look at his numbers: 16 rushing attempts, 65 yards, and a touchdown on the day. Also adding 4 receptions for 43 yards in receiving. But Amani, I think perhaps the biggest play, one that Paul Dottino opened up with in his conversation with Devin Singletary, is, hey, that last big chunk run, 43-yard run, nothing but green grass in front of him, and the presence of mind and the selflessness to get down just outside the end zone, not scoring the touchdown, not making it a 2-score game, but saying, you know what, we're going to play the clock here, keep it smart. Well, what was your reaction?
That's tough to do. I mean, knowing at the end of the year when you're going to back to the table to figure out if you're going to stay on the team or not, you're going to negotiate contracts. Every single touchdown, every single yard matters. And for him to just say, it doesn't matter, I want to win this game, it's a big sacrifice because, you know, nobody's going to look at and give him an extra touchdown because he gave up a touchdown. So it goes to show that they're coached well, they listen, and the fact that the screen game is something that that this team did today, I noticed better than they've done before. And Singletary definitely played a huge role in that. You know, still got to hold on to the ball and stuff like that, but you know, let's build on the successes and on moving toward the future. You got 2 playmakers that are making plays consistently week in and week out. That's Singletary and Neighbors, and hopefully we can get more people joining the party.
Yeah, talking about the screen game, we saw it working well with Theo Johnson. We saw it working well with Devin Singletary, that 23-yard run after the catch. He got down at the 4, almost into the end zone there, but that put him in position to score as well. Something that's definitely within the repertoire for Brian Dable, and it's working for this offense. Yeah, they're definitely more diverse on offense now than the first 2. As the season goes on, they're able to do more things, the draws, the screens. The protections seem to be a lot better than they have been, you know, for a long time with this Giants team. So, I mean, this team is looking legit. They're looking like a team that is going to be competitive throughout the entire season, and you know, it's really refreshing. After the Week 1 scare versus the Vikings, now we all know that the Vikings aren't as bad as we thought they were, and this Giants team is really starting to come into form. The Vikings improving to 3-0 in Week 3. The Giants trending up, getting one in the win column with some complimentary football too. Offense getting points on the board in the first half. Defense getting some solid stops and pressure on the quarterback. 8 sacks on the day. The first time they've had 7 or more sacks since 2016. Also against the Cleveland Browns. But speaking of defense, let's send it back to the locker room and hear from a couple defensive players, including Bobby Okereke and Azeez Ojulari.
Bobby, we talked all week about how being just okay wasn't good enough. You had to be better than that. Well, you were today, finally getting the win, and defensively, their last 3 possessions, they couldn't get it done on you.
Yeah, I think we did a great job executing our game plan. Emphasis all week was doing our jobs, and I think we excelled in the details of that. Guys stepped up and made big-time plays. Dex on the 4th down stop, KT on the 3rd down stop, Burns getting a sack. I mean, guys were making plays over the field. So it was a great day. We played complimentary football. Offense did a great job, and happy to get this win.
Coach Bowen had talked about missed tackles during the week. Outside of that 1 second-half drive where you had a few and they kind of got a little bit frisky there, I thought you guys cut down on that.
Yeah, we did. I mean, put an extra emphasis on it this week in practice, and that's always going to be an extra emphasis on us going forward. If we tackle well and if we do our job, you know, we'll like the result.
Azeez, defensively, you guys stopped them on their last 3 possessions. It starts with about 7.5 minutes to go. You recover a fumble. Take me through the play, because at first, I think the Browns fans thought the Browns had recovered the ball.
Yeah, nah. When I seen it was crazy, man. The ball was on the ground. I ran to it quick as I can. He tried to take it away from me. I fell on it, tried to pull it. And Snake Shot had it, held it tight as I could, to make sure it was our ball to get the turnover for us.
We had talked last week about how you guys didn't get any takeaways and how that's such an important part of what you need to do.
Right. Yeah, it's big, man. It changed momentum. You know, it was a momentum swing, and we needed that, and it was a great play.
All right, the 2 4th down stops that come on the next 2 possessions that close out the game.
Yeah.
You get Dexter Lawrence stuffing a 4th and 1 and then forcing an incompletion there at the end.
Yeah, we big time play Dex, all of us, 11 men out there trying to play our balls off, man. Just play hard for each and other, man. Just trying to go all out. Got off the field, on to the next.
That sound brought to you by your local Ford stores as we take a look at Azeez Ojulari's numbers on the day. Of course, Giants rotating off the edge between Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. Burns dealing with a groin injury, playing through it. You couldn't tell watching the tape out there. Azeez Ojulari getting active, though. 2 tackles, sack. And a guy that really stood out, though, watching this game was one of the kind of locker room favorites, Elijah Chapman, undrafted free agent out of SMU. Sent shockwaves through the internet when he chased down a running back in the preseason game against the Texans, 40 yards. And take a look at Elijah Chapman's stats on the day, including his very first NFL sack. This is a guy coming into the league that people thought, oh, I don't know, he's too small, he's too this, he's too that. Now, I mean, making an impact on this Giants team.
And there's nothing better than a defensive coordinator that gets a rotational player in, and he's putting up these type of numbers with this effort. You know, 2 tackles, the assist, and the sack. I mean, sacks are like touchdowns for wide receivers. And if you can come in off the bench and just produce like that, that is such a help for this entire offense. And then you start rotating the defensive line more, and you get into these packages where you have confidence in the first 2 waves of your defensive line, and that just gives a lot more flexibility to the defense coordinator. So it's a great asset to have, and to pick up a free agent that can do this type of thing is it really helps the entire defensive line, and the strength of this team is becoming this defensive line.
Absolutely. Again, pressure on the quarterback, Deshaun Watson, on his heels all day. We've got more to come here on the show. Stay with us. Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health, continues after this quick break. We're back with more after this. Giants turn the page, and it's a short week for Week 4. Thursday night football. Giants are back at MetLife Stadium hosting the Dallas Cowboys Thursday, September 26th, 8:20 p.m. kick right at MetLife Stadium. Coming home off of a win. Madelyn, Burke, and Amani, Toomer here in studio. Toom, when you're coming off a win and going into a division game is one thing, but on a short week, that's a whole nother ballgame. Yeah, it's great going in a division to play a division team that you're very familiar with. You've been watching them the offseason. You've been watching what they're doing in the offseason, so you know exactly what this team has to offer. So it's one of these tough situations where it's so familiar, and you're coming off a win, and the way in which the Giants dominated this past week. I feel like this is a great situation. Great situation for a short week of preparation, but back at home will be beneficial as these New York Football Giants return to MetLife Stadium Thursday night. We'll be here after the game, as we are every week. For Amani, Toomer, I'm Madelyn Burke. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. We'll see you next week.